So now we heard our three keynote speakers. We heard Eva Dilat, who taught us how to embrace technological progress, how to experiment fearlessly, explore and enjoy the universe of possibilities, and find the solution to your personal design question. And we met Roger Gerrards, whose education is key to a high technological standard, and Aldo Spanjas, who pointed out that a high technological standard is key to compete with your brand on the global market. But if we want to subordinate all our commitments to sustainability, how can we bring it all together? What ethical guidelines do we follow? Which laws do we have to comply with? Can we do even better by self-initiative? We consume fruit from Africa or South America, chocolate from Brazil, and coffee from Ivory Coast, and we use cell phones which parts are made from all over the world, and all these people who are working on these projects try to make a living from their work. So we, as we are all consumers or users, have an impact on the market with every single item we choose to buy. But even more, when we bring a product on the market, we have a responsibility. And now we have the chance to shape a European standard. That is actually what we had just been discussing. And there is the EU directive on the due diligence obligations of companies with regard to sustainability, the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, CSDDD. We call it in Germany a tongue breaker. In German you say it's a Lieferketten-Sorgfaltspflichtengesetz. You may also call it a EU Supply Chain Directive or EU Supply Chain Act. It contains both human rights and environmental due diligence obligations, as well as requirements for a climate plan. And the aim is for companies in the EU to implement certain due diligence obligations in order to avoid negative impacts of their business activities in human rights and the environment in their chains of activity within Europe and outside Europe. And in addition, we have further regulations and legislations in the individual EU countries. So now I would like to open the panel to some supply chain experts. First of all, Brechtje Helderweirdt from Impact Buying. I think in order to hear your colleagues well on the pubble, it might be useful to leave the headphones on. Then we have Chanel Hoogduin from RethinkRebels. And Professor Dr. Stefan Schlichter from the Augsburg University of Technology from Germany. Hi. Nice to meet you. So, thank you for coming. So every one of you can see that we have 2 more empty chairs here. One is for me, and the other one is for you. Because we will start a discussion here now, but if you get the impression that we are running into the wrong direction, or that we don't know at all what we are talking about, or that your expertise would be of essential value to the topic, then you're welcome to come here, take a seat, and I will integrate you into the talk. So, panel talk with headphones. Right. Brechtje, please shortly introduce to us Impact Buying and tell us about your mission and about your service.
Yes, so hi, welcome everyone. It's a bit strange with the headphones on. But I'm Brechtje, I'm the Business Development and Marketing Manager at Impact Buying now for 4 years. Impact Buying exists for 15 years and it's always very difficult to tell in short what we do, but I will try. Our mission is proven positive impact. And how we do that is with a supplier and a product database. There we map supply chains and we try to make it transparent. So we we gather and verify all ESG data. So you can imagine, for example, we start from the contractual supplier and we try to trace it all the way down to, for example, the cotton farmer. And every part that is on your clothing. So if you have a blazer, you also have the lining, you have the buttons. We try to trace it all down. And we try to gather and also mitigate the risks. So on human rights, on living wage, but also on environmental or on governance, all the information. We do this for all fast-moving consumer goods products, so not only textiles or apparel, But we do have a beautiful partnership with Modint on the textile and apparel part. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and Chanel, you're a CSR and ESG rebel
Yes.
consultant.
Yes, I'm
Rebel.
a consultant rebel. So I'm part of RethinkRebels and the RethinkRebels crew, and that's an impact consultancy agency specialized in textile and shoe industry, where we help companies, to become more sustainable. So walking through all layers of the organizations. From C-level up until assistant level, we help the companies on strategy, implementation, legislation, reporting, also with a big focus on circularity. And we are actually a team of experts that all have a different type of expertise. So at RethinkRebels, we have all different types of knowledge. And we work together also trying to help the companies with that, with their journey.
Okay, thank you very much for coming and for being here.
Thank you.
And Stefan Schlichter, at the Augsburg University of Technology, you are coordinator of the Makers Lab for Recycling and Artificial Intelligence. And I noticed personally the great success you just had with your last project, the Textiles Innovations Community. So please tell us about the content of your research there.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, just a short background may explain a little bit our approach. I'm a classical engineer. Engineers are known for being dry people, only believing on scientific facts and so on. But when circularity comes on the playlist for us, we need to adapt to that, and circularity is giving us a chance to change something and to adapt not only new knowledge, but also our values, because I listen carefully to the speakers here and it always thinks, okay, China is doing this, China is doing that. What I learned from that, which is not in opposite to what you said, is we have to work on our own profile, because we have that dispute between on the one hand, everyone wants sustainability. On the other hand, they are all buying massive, I don't want to use the wrong word for that, but low quality things which we don't need, at least don't need in that to that content. How that fits together. And then we come to circularity and we found out we cannot change. And the first move was I have to learn it's not all about technology. We have to learn it's about products. We need to focus on products, and then in a second move we can adapt the technologies. And then we said, okay, nice, we have the recycling atelier, we have a complete value chain from raw material, from secondary waste to new products. But it doesn't fit, we forgot the customer or the user, because even if we do our work very well, if we are not able to sell it, it doesn't matter. And from that, the idea came from our Certex project, where we said we have to bring together technical innovation with social innovation. That has to fit to each other. We have to learn why people are clicking off their sustainability and other brain when they are buying clothes. There's something which we haven't understood, and the good thing is we have to know and accept what we don't know, and then we can start to improve it. And that was a point which is bringing us the chance. Textile is a product which has a certain mass, and we can reach everyone. Everyone is expert in clothes. This is something which is very nicely, and that was a point where I said, okay, and as I'm always have been a very positive guy, I said we can change that. I want to do steps, and that is we are quite successful in doing it, to find tools how we can move and get a marriage between sustainability and competitive products. And this could be, and maybe in my opinion should be, a way we should look in the world what the others are doing. I agree with what you have said. We cannot say, no, we black out and keep the Chinese out. We have to learn, but we can find our own way. And that is the idea behind that. That's the idea which is fascinating me and is bringing me to still continue work after retirement.
Yeah. And in the recycling atelier, you're looking for solutions for sorting, right? And for accesses to resources.
That's the other thing. When you think about recycling, about sustainability, it in the first move sounds a little bit old-fashioned. You keep values, you try to get it. But we will have success, and I'm convinced with this, when we marry this with modern technologies. We are using massively AI in improving the sorting technologies. We can learn. And I think that, I've said it in one of the discussions before, I think a very important step we have to do is that we accept that AI is not giving us a chance to understand everything. We are used to go analytic and say, if it is this and that, and there's this condition. No, you put the data into AI and you get something back where you are not necessarily able to understand every single move. And that is something a lot of people say, yes, we use AI, but very often we have to reset ourselves and say, okay, when we really accept AI, we have to accept the rules of AI. And that means that we have information in a big database, and the AI is trying to use tracks and relationships which we cannot see with our typical analytic things. And we have seen a lot of success in that with our sorting strategies, where we have improved within 3 attempts. We have 3 students groups working on that, one after the other, and we have improved from, let's say, a certain property 60% success rate to 95%, just by better algorithms and better database.
Brechtje, where do you encounter AI in your work?
So it's actually just starting. It's a bit of a buzzword. I think everyone has heard about AI the last year or two. And we feel at Impact Buying, it's a bit like blockchain was 5 years ago. And what we see is that everyone sort of sees or hopes to see AI as like the solution to everything. I don't think that is. I mean, it's a great extra solution to get data faster. So how we use it at the moment, it's still in the pilot phase. We, next to that, have our database. We also use blockchain. And with AI, we're doing a pilot right now with consumer goods for Google and I'm forgetting one company. But at least we're doing a pilot to gather the data. And what we see is that AI, it's a training model. And you need a lot of good data to have it trained well, and that takes a lot of time. And that's sort of where one of the big problems is, actually. You first need to have good data. Mm-hmm. And that's still where a lot of companies are at. They have work with secondary data, or they don't have all the data. You really need good primary data still first to have it trained. And then it could be a very useful model.
I see. And as you have a good knowledge of supply chains in all the areas of the fast mover consumer goods, called FMCG,
Yeah.
I call it. So what are the special challenges in fashion? Yeah.
Ooh, so the special challenges, I think the biggest one is that, I mean, everyone would know that here in right now today, is that the supply chains are difficult and long. I mean, if you're tracing a banana, it will stay a banana throughout the whole supply chain. But if you look again at a blazer like this, there's many parts about it. So you need to trace all those parts, which is a lot of work. And also, I mean, 15 years ago when Impact Buying started, we started first with food. And there was also just because there were standards already there. And I think that's still a bit missing in clothing and apparel. There are no standards yet. So that would help and would make it hopefully a bit easier.
Yeah, I think that primary data, what you said, that's the most important right now. Because I think if you, for example, start also measuring your carbon footprint, etc., if we look at how companies are doing that right now on product level, it's mostly based on secondary data, or it is compared to secondary data. And also looking at the C's or D, with climate change, probably a material topic for all the companies within textile. we are going to have to measure the carbon footprint, for example. And if you only talk about secondary data or comparison to secondary data, then still it is really hard to understand your real footprint, just as an example. So gathering that data, and I think that in the end AI, like you say, it's like a training tool, which can also help as a benchmark, because I think that, moving forward, AI will become more of like a benchmarking tool for the textile industry. But it is really hard to, I think the biggest challenge is gather that primary data because of the scattered supply chain as well. It is really hard to find every detail, because every detail needs to be put in manually and then be compared to what would be a best practice for a product to be as sustainable as possible.
I see. So I guess you're having customers who feel overwhelmed by the variety of tasks. So
Yeah.
how do you actually encourage them to?
Yeah, well, I like the thought of being more agile. So I think that that's something that we can learn, because I think the biggest challenge at a company, as a textile company right now, getting all the primary data in, is actually, that is really manual work. And then AI is not like a big umbrella soaking up all the data because of the scattered supply chain. So yeah, I think that, well, getting started, I mean, it's the most cliche, obvious way of thinking, but just start gathering that information and also using the right tools also to benchmark, because if you don't benchmark, it is really hard to compare data, and also it is really hard to verify data to understand if it is correct, because the data that comes in, I mean, we talked about the clean data that you said before when we had the conversation earlier, is that you need the right clean data. You need to verify, you need to know if it's the correct data that the person behind that is putting in. So that's actually something that I think is the biggest challenge to verify as well. And if you ask me to help the companies, is, they sometimes don't even want to start because they just see mountains of work. So becoming more agile in different parts of that, I think, and having tools to help you with that, and starting small and learning from it, I think that's the best advice we always give. And then sitting next to them and start doing it, I think that's the biggest support that you can give to a company.
And the process of collecting data, does it become more easy when the supplier is geographically close? Does that make any change or not at all?
No, actually not always. I think it is really about the leverage you have, the collaboration you have, and also the knowledge that the supplier has on the data that they need to put in. It is a lot about education, so that makes it very work intensive. Is because you need to educate the people on the other side, and they need to understand why. Is it because of, like, they still want to work with you? Is it commercial, or is it really something that they can also learn from and become more agile or understand better what they're doing?
When it comes to sourcing, Stefan, then when you will succeed with your project, then we will somehow have cotton growing in Germany without even having to harvest it, right?
That's right. Yeah, we have the potential, and that is something. When we see that potential, because one of the biggest obstacles we are having in international competition is that we don't have enough raw material, which is wrong when we follow this, what is called urban mining. When we see what we have, for example, we are talking about battery. The batteries are not going away. It is only that we haven't found competitive ways to recycle the material. The material is still there. The only thing which is gone is what we burn if we change the material, and therefore we have a chance to do something, and we have an economic benefit. When I first did this calculation, I just wanted to have engineers need figures to get an idea. So I said, okay, how much are we talking about? And then I came to a figure that a country, okay, Germany is the biggest country in Europe, but still, 84 million is not that much compared to 1.4 billion Chinese or Indians. And on the other hand, we consume so much cotton, as India is the fifth most important country, is growing. And then I said, there must be a calculation mistake, cannot be 1.4 billion Indians. But the Indians have a per capita usage of textiles of 0.4, 0.5 something. We have, when we really calculate properly, no one has the right figures, we are talking about in Germany 24 to 25 kilograms. And then by multiplying, then you come to that. And when I realized that my calculation was not wrong, then I saw the potential we are having. And that is something where we really have a chance to change things, and where we also with our sorting aspect can now we have to learn how to handle this new material. When we grow cotton, anyone who knows cotton knows you have to look at the microneedle, the lengths, and blah blah blah, whatever is used there. Now we have recycled cotton as a raw material, and we have to define what are the properties. And there again, something is coming together with AI. We have properties which we cannot describe, because there are certain chemical adds in dyeing, in other things. And I don't agree that in the supply chain there are companies, and probably one of these Chinese companies who are earning money with it. They will not, with anything we do, share what they have done in their product. They will not. They will give us wrong data, whatever, but we can use AI to learn indirectly. And I just want to give you an example. I have observed people, ladies who are doing the sorting job manually, and they can decide if it is wool or acrylic. And they don't have, how can you decide it? Because even when you want to, you have to make a chemical analysis. They have learned that, for example, wool has less pilling than acrylics. They have learned that the design, because acrylic is a low-cost product, has other designs, because wool costs more money than acrylic. So they learn from a lot of indirect things, and we have checked it. They can do it in a percentage of more than 90%.
So you actually...
And then the thing is, there I know I already start to do the wrong way, because I try to analyze certain things. But there are other things maybe they don't share with us. And that is a chance where we can start with AI and saying, okay, we have a camera system, which we have in the next project, which will observe what the lady is doing, who is best in sorting the things, and to see what different properties or set of properties may do it. And then there is an economical benefit out of that, because the wool price is nearly double as much as the acrylic price. So when you have a way to do that, and that is something where AI can help us to find ways, we have a knowledge which is improving our new raw material, second-hand material. We grow second-hand material. If we see it from that time, we have the knowledge. We have to create a new knowledge, like the cotton growers know exactly when it's raining, what effect it has on the cotton growage. We learn what the secondary raw material is having, and when we become specialists on second-hand raw material, then we are the best in the world when we can handle that. And this is something, it is a lot of different properties and a set of data, and that is something, huge set of data with unknown relationships, you come to AI that can help you.
But then you also agree actually with Roger Gerard, who mentioned earlier that the need for professionals who have knowledge for fiber technology and material compositions will increase actually.
Yeah.
You will need these people, right?
We need it, because what you also have to see, to make a good yarn out of virgin raw material is not easy. But to make the same good product out of secondary raw material is much more complex and not easy. And that is something we are talking about knowledge. And when we have that knowledge how to make a good product out of second-hand cotton, we have an economic potential and we have something. This knowledge is not easy to be shared and copied. So we have something which is a unique selling point for our countries here in Europe. And that is something where, because most of the people have the fear. They don't like AI because AI, knowing what happens there, but we need to see the advantage and we need to learn how to use it, and then it can be a big advantage.
And yes, Brechtje, as you have an experience with working together with companies who have suppliers all over the world, when you're listening to that, and you also have been listening to Aldous Banjar's keynote, so what have you been thinking? What are your experiences there?
Talking about worldwide suppliers and working with them, you mean? Then?
Yeah, and also, yes.
I mean, that will always be the case. However, if we use AI or new other technologies, that will probably evolve and will come up too. And like Chanel said, I don't think it's necessarily more difficult to work with suppliers that are further away. It's just an education thing. It's a language thing. So at Impact Buying, for example, we have a whole team of data analysts that speak over 22 languages, and that they can explain in their own time zone and time language to suppliers what is necessary, why they need this data, what the data needs to have, let's say. So for example, if you talk about CO2 footprint, we're starting to gather that data for our clients now. And from the one supplier, you get a sort of screenshot of my CO2 is okay.nl, an intern that sort of send that in. And from another, we get a full-fledged LCA. So the sort of level of maturity of the data is extremely different. So I think there, just education is the most important. I think that's the first step. And then, like Chanel said as well, step by step, gather that data. Verify it is another very important one. That's what we help our clients with too, because a lot of companies, they ask to suppliers, give me the right certifications, or give me that, or fill in this questionnaire. But no one looks at it. It's very interesting. They have full email boxes with data, but they haven't checked if that's correct. So actually a big part of that is certification could be of the neighbor next door, or it could be of a top while you asked it for, or of a blouse, or so that really needs to be checked if it's correct and if it's not photoshopped. And especially with the technology of today, something you can also do with beautiful tools like AI, you can create something, and how do you know it's true? So that makes it even harder, but even more needed, let's say, that you have it checked and verified before you go into the AI and bring it further.
Yeah, where AI also can be the verifier.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you talk about. If you can make a tool that can recognize, the real from the fake or the wool from the viscose, then that can also, be an advantage. And maybe even the verification that we all need to know that the data that we're looking at, I mean, what you said, you never know what data you have and what is the truth and what is not. But you need to start, because you need to start analyzing, you need to start reporting. We all have to get assurance from the accountant if you need to comply to the CSRD. What data are you going to give them, and how are they able to verify that, and what is the truth and what is your real motivation within your company to do the right thing?
Yeah. So, well, everyone, you can see that we have a lot of different issues and a high variety of questions within the whole fashion industry in all sectors which are combined there. So I think we should continue at the networking reception regarding to the time. Thank you very much for being here. These are really high experts in their fields, so you're welcome to meet them, next to the talk. And we have actually reached the end of the seminar, and we have gathered highly interesting insights, I think, on the current use of AI and other digital tools within the fashion sector, actually. And the question probably that all of us have is, do we have to be frightened? And the answer is yes and no. AI is a tool invented by humans. We are the ones who use it. So the question is not whether the tool is dangerous, but if we are. Our invited guests have shown how you don't actually need to be afraid of them more than about bringing kids into the world. Of course, it is unpredictable how they will look like, which habits they will reveal, and what their benefit to the world will be. But the more attention and dedication we give to them, the more likely it is that it will become a relationship of mutual respect and enrichment. So what we need, I think, is common sense about how we want to live with AI. And therefore it helps to exchange, as we are doing here right now. It helps to formulate a political societal orientation and, in the best case, some ethical guidelines, even if from a global perspective, this might assume quite an idealistic undertaking. But we can encourage international and multidisciplinary dialogues to stay in close connection. So I say, let's see AI as the child of all of us. And let's prepare well for puberty, as that is what comes next. Thank you very much for being here.